to a venue and vendor discovery tool that matches you with your dream team. Everything on Zola is designed to make your wedding journey as easy as possible. And with invites that can be completely customized and a wedding registry packed with gifts you actually want. Zola takes you from save our date to thanks so much without breaking a sweat. From getting engaged to getting married, Zola has everything you need to plan your wedding in one place. Start planning at Zola.com. That's ZOLA.com.
Wow, that was very dramatic. Wow.
I wanted a really dramatic one.
It was dramatic and it was kind of quiet, and it was quiet enough that you may have heard my stomach growling. So I hope that's a bonus feature for all of you who want to hear my stomach growling. I think I heard it. So don't do the quiet intros anymore, because I may have things happening that we want to cover up with loud intros. And
First,
welcome
they
to
took your family
the
and your
Delta Flyers
riches.
stomach digestion.
Then they
We're
took
here
your
at the
health
season 2
and your pride.
finale of Voyager Basics Part 1.
Yes.
Finally,
And
they left you to
I can't believe
die.
we've gotten through so many episodes.
What will you do,
So much
exile,
that I have
when there is nothing left but to live or die?
Some of these episodes I've watched for the first time. I don't think I've seen a lot of them, and so this has already been so much fun.
Yeah. I just want to bring note to a tweet that I tweeted. I said,
Yes.
I'm sitting in the living room watching Megan Elise edit the next episode of the Delta Flyers. And I hear Keely upstairs playing Roblox online with her friends and singing, "My anaconda don't want none unless you've got buns, hun." So she's singing Baby Got Back lyrics.
Wow.
Right? And then I put hashtag 12-year-old girl chatter. Okay. Now, after I tweeted that, Robbie, a fan then came back and said that he had alternate lines. Now, you and Robbie McNeil have to sing that in lieu of a haiku or limerick next episode, or both, preferably. And then he comes up with these lines: "My Balana don't want none unless you've got face tats, hun." Get it? Face tats. Yes.
All right, we can
Yeah.
mix it up a little. Well, just so everybody knows, in season 3, Garrett and I will be swapping the haiku limerick assignments for season 3. But we're gonna
Can't
try
believe I
it. We're
agreed
gonna
to that.
start
We'll
out.
try it.
We're gonna try it. Yeah, I'm excited to hear your limericks because they're not easy. I'm just gonna say
No.
they're not as easy as you gotta be like relaxed. You just gotta just breathe, figure out the rhythm and the rhyme, and try to make sense of it. I'm
First,
excited to see your
they
limericks,
took your
'cause the haiku
family and
can
your
be
riches.
intentionally obtuse. It can
Then
be
they took your
simple,
health and your pride.
intentionally kind of abstract, and it still works. It seems deep, and you know. By the way, I've been inspired. We may have talked about this a little before, but
Yeah,
been inspired by the haikus and just doing my own little personal haiku adventure. So I'm really enjoying it. I'm excited to get into season 3 as with the haiku assignments.
Yeah, it's really cool because you've actually taken this upon yourself to do this in your real life, which is, it makes me feel like, hey, I did something that made Robbie do the same thing in real life, which is really, really neat.
It's added to my life. The haiku, this discovery of the haiku and the beauty of the haiku has added value to my life. Absolutely.
Yeah. All right, man. So on that note, maybe we should go watch Basics Part 1, the finale of
Let's
season
watch
2.
it. I'm excited.
Patreon patrons, stay tuned for What Do We Remember? We are back from watching Basics Part 1.
How exciting. It was very exciting.
Now I know why Paris left.
I know. I was in that moment. I'm like, oh my God, that's why he's not on the planet. And is he dead? That's the question.
Yeah, that is the question.
I won't know until we watch the next episode whether
Clearly.
Paris survived or not. I will have no idea.
Well, I'm going to bet that he's still alive.
I mean, I think I did more episodes, but I can't remember much. So maybe he died. I don't know. We'll have to wait till next week.
They just kept sending a paycheck for seasons 3, 4, 5, and 6, and 7, even though you were dead.
That's the kind of job I want. Is just because they like me.
Kim had a shrine to Paris for the rest of the seasons.
Oh.
Basically. There you go. Well, I just want to begin by first saying that this episode, before we went to Lone Pine, we received a memo. When I say we, I mean Robert Beltran, Tim Russ, and myself received a memo from the production office.
I remember this, yeah.
Yeah. So I just, for those of you who don't know, I'm going to say this story now. This memo essentially said, Tim, Robert, Garrett, we want you to know that we are concerned that we will be on location and we'll be staying in Lone Pine, and we're just very concerned that the Lone Pine population may be ambivalent towards those who are not Caucasian.
They took your family and your riches.
So therefore, they recommended that if we went to town to eat or to grab a drink, that we would not go by ourselves, that we needed to be with a group of people to sort of help ensure our safety, which I thought, wow. I mean, at that time, it was 1997, I guess, or 96, 97. And I was thinking, are you kidding me? Is this for real? But I did make a joke. I was joking around with Beltran. I said, the three of us, Tim, Robert, and myself, we should go to the local saloon and just kick open the door and say, welcome, this is your new mayor, the treasurer of the city, and just sort of like say that, make the announcement that we were going to start running things.
It is kind of crazy, though, that the studio and producers felt like they had to let people know, let you guys know in particular, that this is a rougher town and, may not be safe.
Yeah.
I mean, I think they did send the memo to... I feel like everybody got the memo that this, is a rougher town and just don't go by yourselves anywhere. I feel like everybody got that.
Oh, was it? Okay.
I think so. I think it was for everybody, but I think the conversation to you guys, to people who were, ethnically diverse, whatever, brown people, Asian people that weren't Caucasian, that on top of it just not being a very safe place to be, by yourself, that you could encounter some racism and you could encounter some prejudice and you could encounter, I think that's what I remember now that you bring up that story, is that, because I think everybody was sort of warned, hey, stick together, it's a rough town. Nothing against Lone Pine now, I don't know how it is now, but certainly at that moment in time, it was maybe not a safe place to wander around by yourself. So I would have protected you, though. If I had been there, dude, I had your back, okay?
Oh, yeah. I appreciate that. I know you would have. Yeah. But I don't recall it being a message to everybody. I thought it was specifically sent to us. But if you saw it too, that's great.
Yeah, I feel like the crew got the memo and everything, but I do remember them saying, not only is it not a safe place, it's a place where they're not used to a diverse-looking group of people like our cast and our crew. We're a diverse group of people, so I think that's something that's amazing about Star Trek. Just to jump on that subject for a second. Since the beginning of Star Trek, since Roddenberry cast the first show, the original series, it has been a show of inclusivity, of diversity, of there was no other show on television in 1969. Or 68 or whatever year the original series started. There was
66.
no other 66. There you go. No other show on television that looked like Star Trek.
No.
Not even close.
No.
So it's always been kind of ahead of its time. And I even found in this episode a lot of the Kazon, Maj Kala and the Kazon's attitude towards women has always been consistent. This chauvinistic, misogynistic sort of attitude that the Kazon had, but for some reason it jumped out at me even more, probably because he backhanded the captain.
Yes.
And the way he spoke, and I was like thinking, wow, how ironic that on the show, the Star Trek show with the first female captain, really making a point to put women in leadership positions, that character was behaving that way. I think it was intentional that they wanted to show sort of a contrast between who Star Trek is and what this particular group of aliens' attitudes towards women were. It's much more primitive, much less enlightened and ignorant attitude.
Yeah. But just to add to what you were saying before, yes, Star Trek is definitely, since its inception in 1966, it has been the most inclusive. But when you say IDIC, that is the Star Trek reference to infinite diversity and infinite combinations, right? So that's something that has been espoused by Roddenberry and people afterwards. So it's always been about inclusiveness. And just to update everybody on what happened when we got to Lone Pine. Once we got into town, we went to the local whatever it was, the restaurants that we ate at, or any place with the 7-Eleven, the convenience store. We didn't see anything like that. So no one got called names, So I guess it was just a precautionary move on the part of production, because I just felt it was a really small town mentality and kind of maybe possibly could have issues, But I'm going to say for part 2, something that did happen that was a little scary at the very end of filming of Basics Part 1 and Part 2. I'm going to save that for Part 2. So
Okay. All right.
just so you know. Okay?
All right. So we've got to summarize our episode with a haiku and a limerick now. So
Here we go.
give me your haiku first.
Here we go. Haiku for Basics Part 1. Seska sends message. Mission to rescue baby. It's really a trap.
Whoa, nice.
Like
You
that?
nailed it. That's what it is. That's what it is. All right.
I'm so excited to hear yours.
I have to give credit to Rebecca Jane for this link. Sometimes I get a little stumped and intimidated, and she saved the day. So here we go. Credit to Rebecca for this limerick. Here we go.
Yeah.
Chakotay is his baby daddy. Suitor is still acting catty. Tom leaves to save the day. Voyager's taken away. Maj Kula is really quite happy. Thank you. Well, thank you, Rebecca.
Rebecca, you nailed it.
She nailed it.
You were.
I'm going to give
I
it
wished-
one more ride just for fun.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Yeah. Let's hear it one more time.
Chakotay is a baby daddy. Suitor is still acting catty. Tom leaves to save the day. Voyager's taken away. Maj Kula is really quite happy. There you go. It's good. It's good, right? It's worth the
Yeah, it's good.
double dip.
You saw my tweet to say happy birthday to Rebecca,
I
right?
did.
I included the master of limericks kind of thing
Absolutely.
in there. So that was good. I'm very appreciative of Rebecca's brain power
Me too.
in helping you.
Me too.
All right. So this particular episode, yes, it was written by Michael Piller and directed, yes, by Rick Colby.
Aha. Yes, and Rick Colby, by the way, I gotta say, it was so refreshing to see him on a big episode like this, doing what he does, what he did best with us, shooting beautiful, dynamic, compelling shots. I mean, when, for example, when the whole crew is being taken hostage and herded up, his approach to filming that was so effective. It was so, you felt like a member of the crew just being herded together and claustrophobic. And I just think over and over again, Rick did a phenomenal job with the way he shot this episode. It was beautiful. It was a great episode.
I agree. It looks fantastic.
So we start out with Suitor, which I had forgotten Brad Dourif was in this episode. Obviously, he's in part 2 because he's left in a very important place. But yeah, that opening shot of him with working on the plant, and I was just like immediately, drawn in, immediately excited about the episode. Brad's such a great actor. His character is so good.
So Suitor genetically engineers the tubing orchid.
Which is
That's
so nice to sort of, and so redeeming for his character to be so grateful and, seems to be, rehabilitating in a lot of great ways and doing really well. And Tuvok takes a real, paternal, care of him. And I thought that was wonderful. Yeah,
Yeah.
wonderful.
Yeah, and you're right. I forgot about him too. Oh my God, he's still on the ship. Well, confined to quarters, but he's still there.
Yeah, poor guy. I was thinking about that, like, later on when we see him in his quarter, or when Neelix comes in, he's just stuck in the quarters. I'm like, God, he's been stuck there all these episodes. Ooh,
I know.
Crazy.
I know, but he had a lot of time to work on the orchids, and of course, that's the reason why he was doing that. Is not because most murderers like to work on flowers, but because of the mind melding with Tuvok. He's taken on some of Tuk's interests or hobbies, right? So
Yep.
that's why he's doing that.
We go to the bridge, and there's a message from Seska, which, again, I thought Rick Colby did a great job of shooting this, this message from Seska in such a great, authentic way that it felt very compelling. The static look of it, the energy of the shot, her performance was very compelling, and obviously, leaves Chakotay into a very tough place.
Such a tough place that he goes back to his quarters to utilize the Vision Quest, Uchimoya process.
The old Uchimoya thing. Right before that, though, I gotta say, in Janeway's quarters, he talks with Janeway, and it was a reminder of two things. Rick Colby, the way he stages scenes with actors moving constantly. They do a lot of big wide shots and just cut to a close-up. It's like one shot leads to another. The actors are moving. Janeway was up high and then down low, and so I thought the staging and the filming of the scene was great. The other thing that came to mind in that, Janeway and Chakotay close the talk a lot. Like, Janeway gets right up next to him and he's like, Chakotay. Like, there's a lot of whisper close talk. It's like, why? Do people do that in real life?
Well, they do now after they've been stranded on a planet together
I
due
guess
to a
so.
bug bite virus. Now they're used to it, right? He's
Yes.
already massaged her back, and they've already clasped hands. He's already told her kind of that he loves her. So
Yeah, he should have told her he loved her.
he should have.
Instead, he said he knows what true peace
True
is.
peace is.
Yeah.
Peace in his native
His love, exactly. Okay, so he goes into his dream, Kuchimoya style, and Dad gives him a lesson
Yeah.
on unconditional love and family.
Yeah, because his issue, what he's struggling with, is unwanted pregnancy. He said that this was forced upon him, and then his father uses the analogy, or at least tells him the story of some of their ancestors when the Caucasians came in and murdered, or they came in and raped and pillaged, and basically a lot of the women of the tribe ended up giving birth to children that were half invaders and half theirs, basically, and what did they do with those children? They accepted them and loved them like they were their own, and one of them ended up being a fabulous or very
Great leader,
well-known
yeah.
leader.
Yeah, so then we go into the briefing room to talk about what we're going to do as a team, and I loved when you stepped up to the monitor and you were like, "Excuse me, doctor," and you cut him off. and then later on we hear his voice going, "Can I say something now?" You turn him back.
You look at the look on the doctor's face when I say, "Excuse me, doctor." He's like, he gives this one not as wide-eyed as I just did. But
Yeah.
he kind of like he steps back a bit, which is kind of
Yeah.
funny, for him being a program to act
Yeah.
like that. But it is what it is. Kim suggests echo displacement, so that it looks like ships are coming to our aid as one way to fool the Kazon attack. The doctor comes up with another suggestion of creating a holographic illusion of friendly ships, which is really interesting as well. Did you notice anything about your hair?
My hair was very puffy. In fact, I was gonna say, why didn't I get a haircut before this episode?
It was extra long, but it was curled in a weird way on the sides. Did you notice that?
I
was like,
definitely
what's going
noticed
on
my
with this?
hair had a lot to contribute to this episode. Yeah, there was a lot of hair going on.
I didn't know what was happening.
It was a little David
confused.
Hasselhoff style.
It was,
I don't know.
it was so Baywatch. I was like, "What's he doing?"
Yeah.
It's you know. Do you remember? You remember feathered hair back
Oh,
in
yeah.
back in the would it be 80s?
70s,
Yes,
late 70s
late
or
70s,
80s.
early 80s. Yes, like Farrah Fawcett would. That's what your hair looks like. It's got a
Yeah.
little mini feather going on.
I
And
know.
I thought, did you not get a haircut? So they ended up having to feather you.
I feel like
don't-
it was a little long, and so it got a little
Yeah.
poofy. Yeah, I definitely noticed a hair. You know, as we do every episode, there's some hair thing.
Yeah, we talk about hair.
happening. Hair is a big part of Star Trek. So
It
yeah.
really is. It
Yeah.
really is. Okay, I'm glad you saw that too.
Yeah, yeah, I did. I really loved in the sick bay. So we beam over this Kazon. We beam him over, and he's dying. He's injured, and it looks like he's about to die. And the doctor's able to save him. And he tells Chakotay this whole story about Seska and Maj Kula and what had happened. And I thought it was a really interesting angle that Rick Colby, he filmed Chakotay kind of behind him in a close-up.
Oh yeah.
Chakotay was sort of turned away and listening and very suspicious and dramatic. And I just thought it was, you know, a very unconventional angle for us. It reminded me that I remember Rick Colby was always very intentional in trying to be edgy. And, and his style was much more modern than a lot of the directors on our show tended to be. Rick always did interesting things, and I found that to be really interesting, that story, and sort of it was pushing into Chakotay, but from behind him, kind of off to the side, and it was just very interesting. So
Yeah.
I thought that was great.
Yeah, that was a really cool camera move for sure. One thing I noticed, the Kazon that we beam aboard that's almost dead, his name is Tierna. So when he's on the bio bed, did you notice that on that close-up of Tierna, when he's kind of when he's telling, he begins to tell a story, did you notice his teeth?
No.
They actually discolored it. It's like the first time I've seen, because typically when we have alien races on Star Trek, they've got all kinds of, you know, prosthetics on their head, wigs, and, you know, you name it. But their teeth are still very human and very white, you know. But this guy's teeth were completely discolored. They were discolored, and they were, they looked more like what Kazon teeth should look like. And I was shocked. And I kept thinking,
interesting.
is that, you know, the makeup department having extra time on their hands, and they were like, let's just do his teeth too? Or is that really the decaying teeth of the guest actor? Maybe he had bad teeth. I don't know.
I'm sure they discolored them.
Yeah.
I am wondering something now that you mentioned this. I feel like Neelix had dentures. I mean, I know he did.
Yes, he did.
And I remember he used to always sort of like pop them out, spit them out. Yeah, that was
his thing.
That was his thing. I remember that.
But of course, as a series regular, they're going to have more money to do teeth for an alien.
Yeah, they did dentures that had the Ferengi, or not the Ferengi, the Talaxian sort of teeth. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Hey, Robbie.
Yo.
You remember a little segment we used to do called Language Lesson?
Oh, yeah. Everybody loved Language Lesson.
Well, what you don't know, what our listeners don't know, is that one of the reasons why I know so many languages is Rosetta Stone.
Really? Rosetta Stone, I've heard it's great.
Yeah, it's amazing. It teaches you languages the natural way, the way that you learned languages as a child. It's a much more intuitive way to learn. It has speech recognition, so you don't need a teacher. Typically, when you're in a classroom, your teacher kind of tells you, you're pronouncing that right. Well, that's already built into the program.
The program does that for you. It listens to how you're speaking and corrects you. And oh, that's amazing.
Super convenient. You could do this on your desktop, your laptop, or on your app on your phone.
I could use the app on my phone instead of doom scrolling the internet. I could be learning a new language and challenging my brain. I love it.
These guys have been around for over 30 years. They are the most trusted and time-tested app out there for language learning, and I have always fanboyed over this company since they started.
It's amazing. It sounds like a great way for me to learn a language so I can connect with fans when I go to do conventions all over the world.
Yes, exactly. So don't put off learning that language. There is no better time than right now to get started.
The Delta Flyers listeners can get Rosetta Stone's lifetime membership for 50% off. Visit rosettastone.com/today.
That's 50% off of unlimited access to 25 language courses for the rest of your life. Redeem your 50% off at rosettastone.com/today. Today.
It's better over here. AT&T customers, switching to T-Mobile has never been easier. We'll pay off your existing phone and give you a new one free, all on America's largest 5G network. Visit T-Mobile.com/carrier freedom to switch today.
Pay off up to $650 via virtual prepaid MasterCard in 15 days. Free phone up to $830 via 24 monthly bill credits plus tax. Qualifying port and trade-in service on Go 5G Next and credit required. Contact us before canceling entire account to continue bill credits or credit stop and balance and required finance agreement is due.
You purr at me and I feel complete. Then you come at me like the Wolverine. And even though you often turn your back on me, our love goes deeper than a submarine. No, I don't want clay dust inside of you, or chemicals in the place you poo. In my arms or in your box, our love will be pure.
World's best cat litter for the world's best cat.
Okay, so now we head to engineering.
Before we go there, I thought this was an interesting moment for me. The doctor talks to Chakotay, and Chakotay just is very suspicious of all of this. And the doctor says, I can't do a lie detector test on him.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Because we need a baseline, and without a baseline, I can't tell you if he's telling the truth or not.
Yeah.
But the doctor does say, if it makes any difference, he was about to die. Like, he really, that part of his story is true. He was about to really die physically, scientifically. So maybe we should believe him,
Yeah.
And I felt like that was a very important little detail, but if we had been more cautious or suspicious about Seska's story and about this Kazan story, we wouldn't have gotten into our situation, So that was a moment of like, okay, feels like we're verifying that he's telling the truth by this, what the doctor says, which turns out to, he's going to kill himself later in the episode anyway. He's going to, he's a suicide bomber basically.
Right.
So part of his cover was to actually be near death so that they, could, the whole plan was very clever. So.
Yeah, so after the doctor tells him that, Chakotay still doesn't believe it. He heads to engineering, and then he wants to get more evidence, and he asks Kim and Torres, what's the status report? And Kim and Torres report that they found nothing unusual with the evidence from the Kazan shuttle. Everything looks like his story is checking out at this point.
Also, Janeway, Tuvok says, "Oh, can you come down and talk to Suter?" And so Janeway goes down to talk to Suter about the, his hybrid, plant. And the research he's doing. He wants to do more research, and he needs some more tools and some more equipment. And he says, it's nothing that's dangerous. And he really sincerely sort of begs for this. And she says, well, let me think about it. She doesn't agree. And he loses his temper.
Yeah.
You see that, oh, he's still got the crazy side. He's still creepy. He's still got the potential for, serial killer in him. So I thought that was a really, really interesting. And I just felt so bad for him. Later on, Neelix brings in some soup, and he's just sitting in the dark. Brad Dourif was so good, so perfect for this role. It's also we keep getting attacked, by the Kazon. We choose this path that looks like everything, adds up.
Right.
Neelix says, he's telling the truth. That's a smart path. Neelix tries to trick him, but it is the truth. And then he pulls up some code that shows the trap, the net of,
the Nystrom defense net.
The Nystrom defense net, exactly. And it does show. So, a couple other things sort of add up, and there's nothing absolutely certain that this is a smart move for us to continue on this, this rescue mission for Chakotay's child. But things continue to sort of add up, and then we start getting attacked by these little Kazon ships, and they keep hitting the same spot, and that definitely is very suspicious. And I wanted to know, what is a starboard ventral? What is They keep saying they keep hitting our starboard ventral.
Yeah.
What is a I mean, I fly the ship. I should know this. What is a ventral? It's a vent of some sort.
Yeah. Or maybe that's sort of the ship's, crotch area, like the really
Yeah, maybe the ventral.
yeah, the really really sensitive part of the ship.
Yeah.
Is what it is, the starboard ventral.
It's very sensitive because they
Yeah.
keep hitting it, which ends up,
Yeah.
preventing Janeway ultimately from doing the self-destruct sequence, because that's what they've been doing, but they don't get it yet. They're kind of setting them up to steal their ship. Definitely.
Maybe we can use that terminology, Robbie. Is that possible?
Ventral?
Yeah, just like in public, like if someone's harassing you, you're like, back up, man! Don't make me kick you in your starboard ventral, like that.
Interesting.
You could do that,
Yeah.
and then confuse that.
Or
attack.
you know what? Oh, I really gotta go. Is there a starboard ventral anywhere? Something like that.
Yeah,
We
I like
just-
that one better.
Okay.
See, yours is more passive. Mine was an aggressive.
Yeah, mine's like
example.
I gotta go to the
I
bathroom.
like it.
Where's the
I gotta
starboard
release
ventral?
my starboard ventral.
Yes.
Okay.
Who
Alright.
cut the starboard ventral?
Oh, Robbie.
Yeah.
You're the one that wants to go to the starboard ventral.
Exactly. By the way, Neelix does deliver some soup to Suitor.
What kind of soup, Robbie?
Leola root soup. That's
Soup.
his specialty. Leola root soup. Leola root stew, Leola root pasta. He loves the Leola root.
Yes, he does.
Clearly, the rest of the crew hated it because no one ever said a good thing about his foods.
No, they don't.
It had to have been okay though for us to keep letting him cook.
Yeah.
And so we're heading through, and then all of a sudden these warships show up,
Mm-hmm.
and actually,
Because we're reversing course.
Yeah,
Reverse
we-
course. That's when they chase us. Yeah.
yep, we reverse course. She's like, "Let's get out of here, turn around."
Yeah.
There's those ships. I think 8 of them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Kim uses echo displacement to show Talaxian ships coming to our aid, and then utilize the Doctor's suggestion of the holographic projections of these Talaxian ships, and of course that humorous moment where the third ship that's supposed to come in to help us out ends up being the Doctor being beamed out into space. Which
Yeah,
was
that was very, very funny. Well, especially coming on the heels of like she gets annoyed with him because he keeps asking all these. He's like panicking, getting really neurotic, asking like too many questions.
Yeah.
She's like, "Shut up! Would you just?"
Yeah.
And then, by the way, I
And
think
it's-
B'Elanna and the Doctor are a very funny combo. I would have liked to have seen more of B'Elanna.
more of that. Yeah.
They were, they're very. What an odd couple they are, and
Yeah.
I thought that little scene was very funny.
I agree.
Then he gets beamed out
Yeah.
into space, and the battle. Well, the battle's begun. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then that scene with the Kazon sort of saying
Oh.
prayers. He put a hand to one side and the other, and
Yeah.
I was like, what the heck's going on there?
Yeah. And then he just peels his toenail off.
He
you know?
peels his toenail. Oh my god. He peels the toenail off and then pulls magically pulls a needle or something out of the toenail, which I don't know where he hid that in the toenail.
Yeah.
And he's a living bomb. Like whatever he shoots into his bloodstream blows him up. That's not science. I don't think you
Well-
can shoot anything into your blood and blow up.
Yeah, but you do remember earlier when he was getting a checkup by the doctor.
Yeah.
The doctor was like, "Well, everything seems to look, everything seems to check out fine, except for the fact that I have elevated levels of," and he listed some
Oh, yeah.
chemical, which sounded like some type of gasoline derivative, and I think that's whatever he injected into his bloodstream, that
That
then.
was the
Yes,
starter.
that was exactly that was what caused the reaction, the explosive reaction with the stuff that was already in the system.
So you put some toenail juice into your elevated levels of gasoline, and you're gonna blow up. So all of you guys out there, don't mix your toenail juice with your gasoline.
I kind of wish that he took it from someplace else on his body, because I just don't. I don't want to be it was just I don't want to see a toenail being ripped off, and I also don't want to be reminded that so many species in the Star Trek world are bipedal species where they're
Like-
both, you know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah, he has the
a
same number of
Kazon-
toes as us.
Yeah, and he's got
same kind of
toenails too.
toenails,
Yeah,
I know.
he's just a rust color. That's the only thing different, you know. And it's like, maybe if you pulled it out of, look, there's so much stuff going on up here in the hair area, right? Like there's literally, you could hide that little needle anywhere in his hair. He just should have pulled it out of there. He didn't need to pull his whole toenail off.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
He pulls it off, he blows up, and now things are falling apart. And that's when Tom Paris says, Captain, let me save you guys. I'm going to take a shuttle all by my big boy self. I'm going to fly back to those Talaxians and get a little help. And he's off. And he goes. And then they start shooting at his shuttle.
You took the sporty shuttle, by the way.
I
It was
did
the
take
more
the
sleek
sport-
one.
It was the Sporty shuttle, Sporty Spice. I took Sporty Spice, but it wasn't fast enough. It appears that I got blown up, and there was some debris because later on they say, let's check the debris trail, make sure there's no warp signature.
Yeah.
Might be trying to trick us. So they did sort of tip the hand.
But that was Seska saying that. Remember?
Seska, yeah.
And it was such a couple dynamic where she kept reminding him, and make sure are you sure he's dead? And he's like, fine. And make sure you check this. He's like, he's rolling his eyes the whole time. And it's the classic, arguing couple kind of thing. But you evidently are dead, but we know better. You're still alive somehow.
Right? I have a feeling I'll be alive when it's all said and done.
Yeah.
Janeway says, let's evacuate this thing, but she can't self-destruct the ship because they kept hitting the starboard ventral, which now it makes sense. Seska and all those guys appear, and she's like, hold your fire.
Yeah.
And they sort of give up. And then Seska lied to Maj Kula and said Chakotay had basically raped her.
Yes.
Yes. And you can see Seska's kind of sheepish look to Chakotay because he's pissed off. He's like, that's not what happened, Chakotay says. But
correct. You're gone now. Physically,
emotionally.
Also emotionally, you are gone. You're not even there.
Nope.
So this is the point where when the first Kazon come on the bridge, I refer to this story in our interview with the stunt coordinator that we had in our special interview
Dennis
stuff.
Danger Madelone.
Yes. Dennis Madelone, who we interviewed for our Patreon patrons. He and we related this story of the first Kazon not really holding his plasma, his phaser rifle very aggressively. So this was the scene. Yes, where
funny.
we had, oh my gosh. I mean, it was comical. I mean, the way the guy came in and he was just literally like, pew pew. I mean, it was just the worst. I mean, and then Dennis getting frustrated with each successive take where there was no change. Like he kept directing him, no, you hold the weapon like you mean it, like you're really gonna be, you're taking these people out, this is not some picnic or walk in the park. I don't know what you're doing. And the guy kept doing the same thing, and it was oh my God, he couldn't take it. And then this scene is also, once they force us down onto our knees.
Yeah.
This was the scene where one background Kazon guy was overzealous with Tim Russ, and he kept shoving him in the back, and Tim kept getting pushed forward, and then he lost it. Tim just went, just like that. He said to the guy, don't keep shoving me 15 times.
How funny.
Just once, and the guy was like, ooh, okay. This was also the scene, Robbie, when we were filming.
Boy, you had a lot of excitement.
Oh, this scene is filled with, there's 3 stories that come from this. The Kazon extra that ran in, that didn't know how to hold, that was really more passive than aggressive. Then the Kazon extra that was overly aggressive, shoving Tim Russ, that he actually got pissed off. And then during this, when we were filming this entire bridge sequence, it was raining cats and dogs. And Los Angeles, it's sunny for the most part. Rains every now and then, but once in a blue moon each year, I would say there's like 2 weeks of nonstop cats and dog raining, and this was the time that this was going on.
Wow.
Okay, and so when it rains a lot, guess what? For us, they end up putting these pallets, these wooden pallets down in between the trailers, so we can.
Oh, that's
You
right.
remember that?
That's right.
So we
yeah.
wouldn't walk into these puddles
Deep
of
puddles.
water, deep puddles that would kind of well up because of the rain. So we would get on these. We walk on these pallets, and I was actually being, they said, okay, we've got the shot. We're moving on to the next sequence. We're moving on to the next scene, still on the bridge. So we were sent back to the trailers. And I remember I kind of like took one step onto the pallet, and the shoes that I had were not mine. They were the hand-me-downs that Brent Spiner wore on Next Generation. I talked about that before. And I slipped. I slipped on the pallet, and I kind of fell forward and
God.
landed on my knees really hard. Like I was like,
I
my
remember
God.
this.
I was
Yeah,
in
you
such
were-
pain. I was hurting.
Yeah.
I was hurting. So then when they put us down on our knees, the Kazon then kind of lift us up or
Yeah.
tell us to get up to take us to the cargo bay. I was getting up very slowly because my knee was hurting so much. My raising myself up was a very gingerly kind of move. I was like, okay, I'm gonna get up. And Tim made fun of me because he didn't know what happened to me. He was like, what okay, old man. He said something like that where he was, making fun of my very slow movements to get up.
Right.
And then, so like I said, Tim got pissed off, Dennis Madlone got pissed off, and
Boy,
I
you
got
guys-
pissed off.
I should have been there because I could have.
You would've-
I could have
you know what, you would've
smoothed all
smoothed it
this
out.
out. I could have
Yeah,
made
you
everybody
are-
feel good.
You know why, Robbie? Because you're the actor whisperer. You've always been the actor whisperer. You've been able, as a director, you do it, and as an actor, you did it for us too. And you weren't there.
I wasn't there, and everything fell apart.
Oh my God, I got so angry at Tim.
Yeah.
And that was the day that the decision was made. I said, this is because you guys don't have enough funding to buy me a pair of shoes that have a tread.
The
Yeah.
shoes they would put these kind of rubber soles on early in the series, and they would get worn out over time, like any pair of shoes.
Yeah.
And they would become just slippery, flat rubber. So I can imagine if there's anything, there weren't any treads. There was no traction, or and they'd just get worn out, and people wouldn't look at them and notice it. And so in a situation whether it's raining or whether we're in a scene where there's debris or things like that, jungle set or something, they were not very sturdy shoes.
No. Okay, all right. So back to the
Okay, so they take over. They herd everybody together. I thought it was very interesting. Seska starts breastfeeding on the bridge. It just, they take over. Marculla sits down in the captain's seat. We see the doctor is he almost gets caught. Suitor escaped, but we know somewhere eventually we find him up in the shots of the herding the crew together I thought were great. Jacoby did a great job.
Yeah.
The extras all really did a great job, our background players. And Maj Kala lands the ship on the planet. Now, I think I had already landed the ship once myself. So at least I was still the first one to land the ship. But he seemed to he walked on the ship, didn't even know it very well, and landed.
Yeah.
So it sort of takes away from what Paris did to be a big deal. It's like, oh well, if some stranger can walk on and land the ship, it must not be that hard. So
okay, I'm just gonna say
too easy.
Now I think Seska somehow got the manual. She maybe Jonas
She must have,
sent
she must
the
have
manual.
used Tom Paris's plan.
Notes.
Notes. Yes,
that's
I'm sure
what it
they
was.
did.
So I'm not gonna. It doesn't lessen your landing. Your landing was still very
Thank
impressive.
you. Thank
But
you.
it did seem a little easy that these backwards Kazons are able to land
Yeah,
so
a little bit.
easily.
A little
Okay, so we're on the planet. It's the Hanan or the Hanan system, is what they said. This
Mm-hmm.
is where we're at. It's an M-class planet that Chakotay surmises is in the Pliocene state of evolution. So it's
That's why we
still
see a
very early.
dinosaur. That's why
Yeah,
we
we
see
see
a
that-
caveman.
that little worm creature dinosaur, which
Yeah.
I do remember. That is the reason why one of our recurring actors ends up getting eaten by that creature in the next episode. So.
Oh, really? Oh, don't spoil it for me.
Okay, I
forgot
won't
about
spoil
that.
it. I won't
Okay.
spoil it. I won't spoil it.
There's a caveman. There's a dinosaur. I also
yeah.
like that. Alpha team with me, Beta team with me. Harry goes, Gamma team.
Gamma team. Yeah.
And then Neelix goes, Delta team
Delta
with
team.
me. Delta team. It's like,
Neelix
what?
goes, Everybody who's gonna look for Leola roots with me.
Delta team with
Delta team.
Neelix.
Yeah.
How did he get like a leadership role here? And like, yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. Well, the funny thing is, we were filming this. What I remember is when Janeway says the line before we break up into teams. She goes, and then we'll reconvene in 2 hours. Is what she says. And then at that point, I don't know if it was me or Beltran. Somebody goes, "How are we supposed to know what 2 hours is? We have nothing. We don't have our tricorders. We don't have anything on us, right?"
That's
and then
true.
Beltran started doing the Native American thing. He's like, when the sun reaches, with cast a shadow on the rock over there, like that. And
That's
he
very funny.
started doing this whole bit.
very
right? And
true.
We were,
No
we were so
technology.
laughing. We had no technology.
That's funny.
So we continued. Robert Beltran continued with that joke for many years, but it would evolve. It would be like, instead of when the sun casts a shadow on that rock, he would say when the sun casts a shadow on that rabbit. Like, he would like make various changes to that version of
Robert always had a way
hilarity.
of like finding something. It would be very funny, and then he would run with it for like 2 years.
Yeah.
It was like,
Well, we all
he
did.
could-
We all
did.
that.
Yeah, we all did. But he had some runners for a while. Robert.
did.
They would change over time, but
Yeah.
yeah. And then we know that Suitor is still on the ship. We do see him up in that vent system, kind of hanging
Yeah.
out, and we see the doctor all alone, feeling
Yeah.
poor doctor. Everybody's gone. Rebecca said, well, at least Suitor has a lot of people to murder now. So he's going to be busy.
Well, she's right about that. That's not to be a spoiler, but that's kind of what ends up
What?
being a secret weapon.
What?
So I know, isn't that great?
It's very exciting. I can't wait to see season 3's premiere. And did you have a theme for this episode? This was a tough one for me.
Yeah, let me hear yours.
My
'Cause I'm-
theme was that you should always verify before you trust someone who's proven to be themselves to be a liar. Because we sort of didn't verify. We kept going, well, yeah, maybe. Like, I think Chakotay's instincts to be cautious and suspicious were right, and he sort of got pulled along with, the dream with his dad, and the doctor kind of saying, well, I can't guarantee, but he was going to die. So, like, all these little things, but he never really verified that this Kazon was telling the truth, that Seska was telling the truth, that any of it. They ended up getting in trouble because they didn't absolutely verify known liars. So that would be my theme: is when someone has proven themselves more than once to be a liar, verify first before you trust.
That's your lesson to take from this.
That's
and
my
you know
lesson.
what? You know what that reminds me of? Wasn't there a story of the frog and the scorpion? Wasn't that the one where the scorpion says to the frog, I need to get across this river?
Oh, I think it was something like that.
Is it a frog, or am I getting the animals?
I thought it was a snake and something else.
Yeah, but the bottom line was
snake needed a ride or something like that.
the scorpion is the one that needs the ride, and the other animal, let's say it's the frog. The frog says, "Nah, I can't trust you because you're gonna bite me." And then the scorpion goes, "No, I just need your help across the river." And then he keeps pleading, and then finally the frog agrees. The frog takes him all the way across, and once they get across, the scorpion bites him.
Yes.
And the frog is like, "Why did you do that? I told you, you said you wouldn't." And the scorpion said, "Well, that's my nature." So it's almost like that's kind of what you've hit upon in your lesson. Is
Yes,
that,
that's
once
a similar theme to me.
Yeah.
Is when someone has proven, shown their stripes to you more than once, assume that they're a scorpion.
Right. I'll go with that. I like that too.
All right.
It's better over here. AT&T customers, switching to T-Mobile has never been easier. We'll pay off your existing phone and give you a new one free, all on America's largest 5G network. Visit T-Mobile.com/carrier freedom to switch today.
Pay off up to $650 via virtual prepaid MasterCard in 15 days. Free phone up to $830 via 24 monthly bill credits plus tax. Qualifying port-in, trade-in service on Go 5G Next and credit required. Contact us before canceling entire account to continue bill credits. Your credit stop and balancing required finance agreement is due.
All right, well, next week we're going to be back with season 3's premiere and your first limerick. So I'm excited.
Basics part 2 and part 2 of my Lone Pine story. We'll have that, which is great. That involves Cass, Tuvok, and myself. We are the 3 players in this story. It's a wonderful- Okay.
Coming up in our bonus material, we've got Martha Hackett joining us to talk about Basics Part 1.
Stay tuned for your bonus material, Patreon patrons. But everybody else, thank you, and we'll see you next week.
See you next week. Basics Part 2. Can't wait.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Multiplier. I'm Harry, as we journey through episodes of Star Trek Voyager. Your 2 hosts on this journey are myself, Garrett Wong, and my illustrious co-host, Mr. Robbie Duncan McNeil.
It's better over here.
Now at T-Mobile, get 4 5G phones on us and 4 lines for $25 a line per month when you switch with eligible trade-ins. All on America's largest 5G network.
Minimum of 4 lines for $25 per line per month with autopay discount using debit or bank account. $5 more per line without autopay, plus taxes and fees and $10 device connection charge. Phones via 24 monthly bill credits for well-qualified customers. Contact us before canceling entire account to continue bill credits or credit stop and balance on a required finance agreement due. Bill credits end if you pay off devices early. See T-Mobile.com.
Hey Robbie.
That's the
That's the audio.
it's the screaming throngs of fans with it and admirers and people with asthma.
Oh no.
No,
We're gonna
that's-
get emails because of that. I know that.
I have asthma.
Okay. All right.
I was
if you have
hospitalized.
asthma, you
By
can
the
then-
way, during Voyager, I was hospitalized at least twice
Yes.
for asthma. I remember Mary Howard coming and checking on me in the hospital because of my asthma and trying to.
You never told me that, Robbie. You never
Yeah.
told me that. I never saw you with an inhaler or anything like that. For those of you who have asthma out there, because Robbie has asthma,
Yeah.
it's okay for him to make a joke of it, I think. Yeah?
Yeah.
It's just
I
like
mean, I
can-
think. I don't
think
know.
so. I hopefully don't.
I mean, I think there's times when asthma can be funny, and there's times when asthma's not funny. Okay, just like most things in the world, it's about context. It's about time and place.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, I need
Yeah.
to trim my beard, dude.
You need... Oh my lord.
Although we have seen Kate Mulgrew's romantic partner Bennett, we have seen recently on that GalaxyCon thing recently, Garrett, and he had a beard down to he had like a Moses beard. My beard.
What?
This
I
is
thought it,
fucking-
what was that show of that guy that was in the wilderness, and he had a bear as his sidekick,
Oh,
his
yeah.
companion. It was Dan. The actor was Dan something. He had this
Grizzly Adams?
Yeah. So that's what I
Grizzly Adams.
look at when I look at Bennett, Kate's significant other. I look at it as a Grizzly Adams beard, but you say Moses beard, which is actually longer
Yes.
than a Grizzly Adams, and the longest is a ZZ Top. So he's not ZZ Top yet.
It's not as easy Tom.
But
What am,
he's
what am
definitely
I? What is
Moses.
this?
That's you know, that's respectable beard. That's respectable beard.
It's just a
That's a
this is
Yeah.
a working man's beard. This
Yeah.
is like, oh, I'm too busy. I'm working so hard I don't have time to really groom myself.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's subtle because you have gray mixed in with your dirty blonde,
Blonde and
so
reddish,
now
yeah.
and reddish, so it's not as prominent as if you were, let's say, Italian or Greek with a heavy dark beard.
Yeah.
Right?
All right.
Speaking of Italian people,
Yes.
have we ever seen Bob Picardo with a beard? Have you ever seen him with a beard?
I feel like I've seen photos of him on other shows, or
Yeah.
he's got so many looks over his career,
Yeah.
especially because he went bald, lost his hair so young. He started
Yeah.
wearing hair pieces and wigs very young, so he's had so many looks. I feel like
I mean, in terms of not off camera, but on camera roles, and all the roles that he's done, I've never remembered him with a mustache or
or
a
a beard.
He may have had a mustache in Loverboy. That was Patrick Dempsey sort of playing a pizza delivery boy that ends up becoming a gigolo, and Bob Picardo plays a surgeon in there, I think, a doctor, and his wife is cheating on him with Patrick Dempsey's character, and I think he might have a mustache there, but I don't think I remember him with a beard, like a full beard, a mountain man beard.
I'm looking to see. I don't think. Okay, hold on.
Oh, you got it? You're so fast with your Google. You're such a fast Googler.
Wait, is that?
Hey! Well, that's clearly a fake
That's a mustache, right?
Yeah, it's a mustache. He looks good in a mustache.
Yeah.
Look.
Yeah. There's Bob.
What's
with
the
something.
project? Can you just... What's the caption read
It
there?
says.
I don't recall that role. Is that a Nickelodeon show, maybe? I don't know.
Oh my God, the internet is forever. I don't know. Oh.
By the
my
way, for those of you
God, look
listening
at that.
out there not viewing, Robbie showed me an image of Bob Picardo in sort of a 50s soda shop sort of costume, and on top of his head was a fake ice cream. And then Robbie just showed me Bob Picardo shirtless. Is he completely naked in that with a cowboy hat on? What's he got going on there?
I don't know. This is a little gift that says, "Don't knock, just come." And he looks like can't top the cowboy from Inner Space.
Oh yes, so that's from Inner Space. I do
Yeah.
recall that wardrobe.
Oh,
Yeah, so,
the internet is forever.
So for all of you who are just curious about what the visual is, if you simply sign up to be a patron on patreon.com/TheDeltaFlyers, you can view this.
You
'cause
can
we have
see
our
all
video.
the fun times,
You can
all of the visual aids
Yes.
that we have. Okay.
Yes. It's a more complete picture of the Delta Flyers. But of course, we will always describe what is being shown on screen between Robbie and I for all of you who are listening. Just so you know. Yeah, that's an interesting photo. We didn't find out why he's wearing that soda.
I
ice
did
cream
not.
Guy.
I did not. We'll have to get him on the podcast and
All right, we'll ask him.
ask him. Yes.
But we can ask him how his butt's doing as well. Hopefully he's healed.
Yes. Sometimes we call our castmates, in the middle of a podcast and catch them like Bob on the bicycle, and we cause them to crash and scrape their butt, as we did with Bob. So, yeah. But he's game for it. He said call him anytime, so we will be calling him.
I love how you you put me under the bus with you on that one. We cause him to crash. It's like, yes.
Yeah.
I'll join you on that, I guess.
We.
The
royal we. What are we talking about this week? Are we in season 3?
Yes, we're actually in season 3 now, and
my
we're doing Basics Part 2. So the two-parter of the cliffhanger episode, Basics Part 1 is what we finished our season 2 review, and now we're starting our season 3 review.
Yep.
It's crazy. We are now, gosh, what is it now? June, July, August, September, October, November, December, January. We're about 9 months into this podcast now.
Yeah, something like that.
We're
Yeah.
chugging along, and we're now at season 3. And of course, one thing that you're going to be so happy about is today is the day that I take on the limerick.
Oh my gosh, I forgot we're switching.
Oh, I'm so not.
This is exciting.
You're exciting and you're happy, and I'm like
Yes.
dreading this. I'm sitting here going. I'm
It's
nervous.
stressful. It's
It's
very
upsetting.
stressful.
I think I had a nightmare about this.
You got this. You got this. Okay.
All right, man.
Basic Part 2, Season 3 premiere.
Yeah.
Yeah, great.
Yeah. Okay, so Patreon patrons, stay tuned for your bonus material. Everyone else, stay tuned as Robbie and I will watch Basics Part 2, and I stress about making a limerick.
See you soon.
Robbie and I are back from watching Basics Part 2. There's a lot of action in this one.
There was a lot of action. And you guys were on the planet a lot. I was still even more jealous
You're such
that I didn't get to go. Although I was kind of jealous. I think, so I did notice on watching this that how rough the terrain was for you guys. And it reminded me of that story you told about Sue. I think it was Sue falling down the hill,
Yeah.
rolling as you guys were running or something. It looked kind of rough. It definitely did. The terrain, the rocks, and there was a lot of areas where you were filming where it was pretty steep. Sometimes steeper even than it photographed. Like if you really looked at it carefully, you kind of go, "Oh, wow, it's steeper than you first think."
Yeah, and plus, that's outdoors. That's not on a soundstage. That's definitely us on location. And
And
when
the
the terrain is
wind
like
and
that,
and the cold, and sure.
right. But there's not just rock. There's loose rock and loose pebbles and loose dirt, so that when you're running down the hill, you take one wrong step and you're going to lose your footing. And that's what happened to Sue. Kate's standing and she tumbled down and she had to go to the hospital. So that was not good. I just want to start by saying a couple things. First of all, in a prior episode of Delta Flyers, we started to have an issue of memory where we weren't sure if the stage that we used that was far away was stage 16 or 17. I did the research. It was definitely 16. 17 was Deep Space Nine. That was directly across from 8 and 9. So 17
that's
was
right.
their soundstage.
So 16 was our rocks and caves and all.
Yes.
And then and I said to you when we couldn't remember, I get confused because when I did Chuck as a director and a producer for 5 years, we had stage 17 at Warner Brothers. So I couldn't remember. I'd get 17 and 16 mixed up a lot, and totally different shows and different lots, different studios.
It's 16. All right, that's one piece of business. The other order of business, when we reviewed Basics Part 1, I talked about how Chakotay and myself and Tim Russ got memos from production. You said that everyone got the memo, basically warning us about, be careful when you're in town. It's a rough town. Yeah.
Yes. Go stick together.
Yeah. And, I don't recall everyone getting that. I thought it was just the minority sort of saying, watch out, you might be, you might face some trouble from the majority Caucasian population of this town.
Yeah.
And I promised a story for part 2. And that story is the actors were sequestered at a hotel at the edge of town. It wasn't in the main part of town.
Right.
The main part of town did have a motel there, but that's where all the crew and all the background actors were over there. So Sue and Tarek, who played Ayala, he was there. Everyone.
They were all in town, in the
town.
main street.
Correct.
Right.
And so to get to the hotel where the principals were, we had to take a shuttle.
Right.
There's a shuttle that would run out to the very outskirts of town. And I remember the production, I think Mary Howard or Brad Yacobian saying, now listen guys, you guys can eat in town and everything like that, but just know, whatever business you do, there is the shuttle ends at a certain time. And so we're talking about the final shuttle that goes back to the edge of town. I think it left at like 11:30 p.m. or 11:45, so just before midnight. And so we were warned. They said, if you don't catch that shuttle, you're going to have to walk. And remember, this is before Uber and all these, ways to get back. That didn't exist back then. So we were warned. And I remember the last 3 series regulars that were still in town were Tuvok. So it was Tim Russ, myself, and Jennifer Lean. And Tim had decided to play poker with some of the background actors. So he was at their motel playing poker. And evidently the stakes were 5-cent poker. So this was nickel poker, right?
Right.
And Tim spent an evening with the extras. Jenny Lean and I don't know, we were just hanging out. So I remember we walked over to the motel and said to Tim, it's time to go. We have to go catch this shuttle. And he's like, fine. So we go back and we're sitting at the shuttle stop and we're waiting for this shuttle with plenty of time. We definitely are there before the final shuttle comes.
Right.
And then Tim, all of a sudden, he goes, I said, how'd you do? How'd you do at the poker game? He goes, I won big. And I'm like, you won big. What stakes were you guys playing? He's like, we're playing nickels. So he pulls out of his pocket like this huge handful of nickels. He's got literally, I think he's got $50 in nickels in his hand. And he looks at us and he's like, I don't want to carry this around. And he looks behind us and he sees like whatever late night fast food restaurant is open. He goes, I'm going to change my money there. I go, Tim, please don't do this. Please don't do this. It's not like you're changing 5 nickels into a quarter. You're changing $50 worth of nickels.
You know, it's like 1,000 nickels.
Yeah, it's 1,000 nickels. I said, they're going to have to count those nickels, dude. I guarantee you there's no change counting machine there. You're going to miss the shuttle. And he goes, no, I'm not going to miss the shuttle. Blah, blah, blah. I'm going to make it. And so he goes over there and we're watching. And sure enough, we see the shuttle coming up, drives up slowly. And I'm looking back at I can see Tim staying there. And I can see they're going 1, 2. They're counting through the nickels. And now I'm waving my hands. I'm like, Tim, I'm screaming. I'm like, Tim, hurry, Tim. And he's completely oblivious. Okay. So he's on top of the moon because he won. All right. And he's just like, I'm so great. Yay. I'm a poker god. And so then guess what happens? Because we are friends of his, we actually tried to ask the shuttle driver to wait, but he wouldn't. So he left. So we said, fine, we're just going to have to take this walk to the outskirts of town.
Oh, God.
Yeah, so Tim gets out there, and I'm so pissed. And he's like, what? I said, you missed the shuttle, and you made us miss the shuttle because we were trying to get your attention, and because we're your friends, we waited for you, and now we have no way back except for our feet. We have to walk back, dude. He's like, well, I'm sorry, man. I lost track of time. I said, I told you not to go change the money. You know, I was so mad at him. Yeah, those damn nickels. Yeah. And Tim and I, just so everyone knows, we've always had this crazy older brother, younger brother kind of relationship where we bicker at each other, and I was definitely bickering at him. So we start walking, and as we're walking along, the lights of the town get dimmer and dimmer, and now it's basically pitch black on like a country road, and we're walking, and I'm going, this sucks. And then all of a sudden, in the distance, coming towards town, we see headlights. And I said, okay, this is interesting. And as the headlights get closer, we notice there are headlights belonging to a pickup truck, like an old something like this, an old pickup truck.
Right.
And this truck drives up, slows down, and stops and hits his high beams on us like he's looking at us. And I'm going, oh my God.
You're panicking.
I'm panicking because I'm only thinking about that memo saying, be careful, you guys. And guess what? What does this guy see? He sees an Asian guy, a black dude, and a little blonde white girl. And it's like, and so that he's looking at the three of us, what the heck is this? What's going on here? And I'm thinking, we're gonna die. I'm thinking this is literally the hills have eyes. Or this is I was really feeling like this was the territory between the Hatfield and the McCoys. Like this was like hillbilly, territory, and we were in trouble. I said we're gonna die, and I just remember feeling this feeling of
Tim.
Yeah, and I
remember.
Yeah,
this is all about the nickels, but
underneath my breath, I'm staring at the pickup, and also underneath my breath, I'm muttering it. After they kill me, I will kill you, is what I said.
And I'll take
all
your nickels.
All because you had to get
all right,
your
who was
nickels
it?
changed up.
Who was in the pickup truck?
Okay, so we're just standing there. The pickup truck is staring at us, and I'm just frozen in fear. And we're all three of us just standing there frozen. And then they slow start up again,
Yeah.
and the windows are tinted out, and they just kind of like they go really slowly past us, and then they speed off. And I look in the back, and I see there's like a gun rack, and I'm going, Jesus, we really could have been killed, you know.
Jesus.
And I look at Tim, and I go, thanks, man. Thank you for my. I almost had a heart attack just now. You know, what else could go wrong? And then right when I said that, it started raining. Cats and dogs, like cats and dogs, is just coming down like this torrential downpour, and just like it's almost like God had this crazy sense of humor. The minute I said, "What else could go wrong now?" and then God goes, "Take that." And so I look at Tim, and I'm like, "Thanks, man." I'm now soaking wet. Now we're soaking wet, and we still have like half a mile to walk to get back to the hotel on the outskirts of town. So yeah, so Tim and I almost were killed.
Wow.
Jennifer would have been abducted.
Wow. Wow.
There you go.
So maybe it was good I didn't go. I just stayed back at Paramount Studios and basically saved all of you. Because that's really what my takeaway from this episode is. Paris, everybody owes Paris their lives. That's my takeaway.
Is that what you're getting from it? No, I think if you were there.
That's the theme. For me, the theme is everybody should thank Paris because he saved them all. That's my takeaway.
Is that your life lesson?
Let's make a monument to Paris because he saved everybody.
No, if you were there with us and walking back with us, it would have been more normal. It would have been 2 Caucasians and 2 minorities, so it would have balanced out a little bit better. And I think we would have had less of less scrutiny from this pickup truck from hell, that was about to kill us. I think they would have thought, oh, okay, all right, and then drove on. I would like to think that they had been channel surfing the night before and said, wait a minute, no, we can't kill them. That's Tuvok, Kim, and Kess. And then they drove away.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of like the story of the episode. There was the primitive cavemen that you eventually sort of befriend in the story. And that's kind of like the citizens of Lone Pine, California.
You're right.
In the beginning, it was kind of dangerous and, there was sort of scariness
and I just want
to it all.
Yes. And Robbie, just in case there's anybody listening from Lone Pine or used to live at Lone Pine, I apologize. That memo is what scared the crap out of me. I think if I never received that memo from production, I probably
wouldn't have had those stories in your head.
No, I wouldn't.
I have a good friend that lives up at Lone Pine, actually.
Okay, well, there you go. There you go.
Yeah.
But I'm an actor. I'm a creative person. My imagination can run wild, and my imagination was truly picturing Tim and I being murdered by the Lobos.
Yes. Gotcha.
Okay. Gotcha. So on that note, let's
talk about
the episode.
Yes.
Let me have your haiku synopsis.
Oh yes, my very first haiku. I mean, I did do a haiku before, but back when we were kind of freestyling. Now that we've gotten formal. Okay, my haiku for Basics Part 2, Season 3 premiere. Kazon have the ship. Primitive life for the crew. Paris saves them all. That's it. That's it. I just had to make sure Paris gets credit for saving everybody. That's really all. My focus of the haiku was Paris getting the credit. So, yeah.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Did you feel, happy that you got to do a much simpler
Not
version?
having to rhyme.
Was it like
anything?
a weight?
Oh,
yeah, weight lifted off your shoulders?
Such a weight lifted.
Okay. Now, I was debating because,
probably could have used Rebecca's help.
I actually thought about messaging Rebecca, but I said, you know what? No, I'm going to stand on my own 2 feet. I can do this.
Okay.
You even told me, you said, I know you can do this, right?
Yes.
And then I thought I can get really, really, put a lot of production value, maybe do this in an Irish accent, since lyrics come from there. But then I thought, no, I'm not going to do that.
No.
I'm not going to go to the Lucky Charms accent. I'm not going to do any type of, Northern Ireland accent or anything.
Right.
Even though I enjoy Irish accents, I think they're great.
Yes.
But my limerick is almost, it has a little haiku-ness to it.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, because I feel like I'm so used to doing haiku that it bled into my very first limerick.
It's got a little sort of abstract quality.
Yes, it's definitely more abstract. So here we go. Okay. My limerick, my very first limerick synopsis for the Delta Flyers for the episode Basics, Part 2. Stranded on planet left for dead. No shelter, no water, no bread. The doctor helps out while Suitor reroutes. Paris sets course full speed ahead.
Oh, nice. Nice.
Like that?
No bread. Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah.
Good. It's fun. It's exciting, right?
It was exciting and
Yeah.
also abstract too.
It
You
was
know,
a little
I didn't
abstract.
said you set a course for home. I was like, Paris sets course full speed ahead.
Yes.
And the head rhymed with the bread and the dead.
That's what poetry's all about. Is
is,
getting
man.
a little abstract now and then.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. Yeah. All
Very
right.
good. There's our haiku. There's our limerick. Let's talk about it.
Sure. Still written by Pillar, obviously. Still
Yep.
directed by Colby. So the same writer and director from part 1 as part 2. I just want to start by saying the very first line that you hear from Chakotay, the very beginning of the episode, when he's helping out Wildman. You know, Wildman's struggling holding her baby, and he's like, "Don't push yourself." And then he says, "That goes for everyone. Perspiring wastes water." And I've never thought of that ever in my life. I'm
Stop
like,
wasting water.
by perspiring, which is like crazy.
Yeah.
Like, have you ever been given that advice on any, activity that you've done in school or anything? Don't sweat. You're gonna waste water.
I don't know how you control sweating.
Yeah.
That's a tough one to control. I mean, I think you can control the energy output that you have.
Yeah.
If sweating is a result of a certain amount of energy output, then I guess you could lower your energy output to preserve moisture or preserve
First,
water.
they
But
took your
you
family
may,
and
in a
your
hot
riches.
environment, just be sitting there.
Then they took your
and
health
sweating.
and your
Sure,
pride.
You're not putting out any energy. It's just the body's natural function of cooling itself is wasting the water. So I don't know. That's a tricky one, Chakotay. I mean, he's a smart guy, Akuchi Moya and all. People of my
Would-
people.
I'm gonna throw this story out at the fans right now.
Yes.
I may have already talked about this, but I'm gonna say it again because you just said I don't know how you control sweating, and I'm gonna have to disagree with you because of that one fateful day that we were filming on the bridge, and it was your close up, and you indeed were sweating, but you were only sweating on the side of your face away from camera. And I said to you, and I made mention of that while we were filming. I go, Robbie McNeil, you're such a professional. You don't sweat where the camera can see it, only on the side of your face away from camera.
Did I have like a tissue or something? Was I tapping? Maybe I was
No.
dabbing my
Possibly.
maybe I did that. I don't know.
Okay. I don't remember you dabbing anything. I just remember that to me was really comical. I'm like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Because like everything, like literally, it was like, it wasn't like tons of sweat, but you can definitely see it was rolling down your cheek on the side away from where the camera was. And
Yeah,
I
yeah.
thought, what the heck? How did you do that? I mean, I sweat on both sides if I'm sweating, but that day
I
you
was a
were
professional.
sweat master. Yes.
Yeah. I'm pretty good. I'm pretty
Okay.
professional.
All right.
Yeah, so they're still on the planet.
Yeah.
Everybody's still on this primitive planet. I was mostly excited to see Neelix's team. I think at the end of the last episode, Neelix said something like, Chakotay was like, Team B, you're with me. Team A, Alpha Team, Delta Team, and then or Beta Team or whatever. And then it comes to Neelix. Neelix is like, Delta Team, follow me.
Yeah.
And he goes
His
off.
was
So I
after
like,
mine. I was Gamma Team. He was Delta Team. Yes.
Delta Team, you're with me. So I was very excited when I'm like, oh, everybody's there. How's Delta Team doing? How's the Neelix group doing?
Not that
And-
well.
Not that well. No, not that well. Hogan gets eaten. So Delta Team, maybe we should not put Neelix in charge of any
No.
away teams. That's our
I-
takeaway.
I know that later in the episode he apologizes. He's saying, I feel it's my fault. And the whole time I'm like, it's totally your fault. You are responsible for killing Hogan. My God.
Yes.
Oh.
Exactly.
Because if Neelix just helped him pick up, remember that? Neelix is holding the bone.
Yeah.
And he's like, and he throws it back down on the ground. All you had to do was help him. If you
Yeah.
helped him pick it up at that second and walk away, Hogan would still be alive.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Poor Hogan.
Hey, Robbie.
Yo.
You remember a little segment we used to do called Language Lesson?
Oh, yeah. Everybody loved language lesson.
Well, what you don't know, what our listeners don't know, is that one of the reasons why I know so many languages is Rosetta Stone.
Really? Rosetta Stone, I've heard it's great.
Yeah, it's amazing. It teaches you languages the natural way, the way that you learn languages as a child. It's a much more intuitive way to learn. It has speech recognition, so you don't need a teacher. Typically, when you're in a classroom, your teacher kind of tells you, you're pronouncing that right. Well, that's already built into the program.
The program does that for you. It listens to how you're speaking and corrects you. And oh, that's amazing.
Super convenient. You could do this on your desktop, your laptop, or on your app on your phone.
I could use the app on my phone instead of doom scrolling the internet. I could be learning a new language and challenging my brain. I love it.
These guys have been around for over 30 years. They are the most trusted and time-tested app out there for language learning, and I have always fanboyed over this company since they started.
It's amazing. It sounds like a great way for me to learn a language so I can connect with fans when I go to do conventions all over the world.
Yes, exactly. So don't put off learning that language. There is no better time than right now to get started.
The Delta Flyers listeners can get Rosetta Stone's lifetime membership for 50% off. Visit rosettastone.com/today.
That's 50% off of unlimited access to 25 language courses for the rest of your life. Redeem your 50% off at rosettastone.com/today. Today.
What is great internet? Is it strong? Is it fast? Is it reliable? Fidelity is now Sparklight. And at Sparklight, we know connection goes way beyond technology. That the best connections are always there, right when you need them. So how do you know it's great internet? Because it's Sparklight. Call 844-517-2337 and take advantage of our limited time offers. Fidelity is now Sparklight, and we're always working for you.
It's better over here. AT&T customers, switching to T-Mobile has never been easier. We'll pay off your existing phone and give you a new one free, all on America's largest 5G network. Visit T-Mobile.com/carrier freedom to switch today.
Pay off up to $650 via virtual prepaid MasterCard in 15 days. Free phone up to $830 via 24 monthly bill credits plus tax. Qualifying port and trade-in service on Go 5G Next and credit required. Contact us before canceling entire account to continue bill credits or credit stop and balance and required finance agreement is due.
By the way, and then we find Paris is not dead. Paris has gotten his shuttle back up and running, and he's on this he's running away from the Kazon who are chasing him.
Yeah.
And boy, if I knew it was as simple as just all stop, hit the brakes, let the Kazon fly by, and then shoot him a couple times and boom, like, why are we ever in a battle ever then? If that's the way you can do it.
That was so reminiscent of the movie Top Gun, where Maverick is being chased by the MiG, and he puts all stop and the MiG flies past him. But of course, they're going at supersonic speeds, whereas in this, from our relation, when you slow down, it's almost like a turtle passing another turtle. It's so slow when he passes you. It's like, what is going on?
I also started thinking about, okay, I have a Tesla Model 3 is the car that I have.
Correct.
And it has auto collision features.
Yeah.
So if I am heading too fast towards something, it will warn me and it will start to brake long before I even see it.
Correct.
And so I started thinking, all right, that's my Tesla Model 3. That's the entry-level Tesla, has that right now.
Yeah.
And we're talking about starships that are chasing me, dead behind me, shooting. As soon as I hit the all stop, like my Tesla, you would think that other ship would be locked in on some kind of computer control autopilot that wouldn't allow them just to
fly over you.
That they would have some, but anyway, I'm just saying.
I'm just going to say that failsafe in the Kazon patrol ship malfunctioning.
I see.
It didn't work. He should have stopped, but he didn't.
Yeah. Okay.
What I wrote down in my notes, which was more interesting, I said Paris does his impersonation of the caretaker. Because in Caretaker, the old man kept saying, not enough time. And then here you are, I don't have time for this. You said it 3 times. I don't have time for this. And after you after you eliminate the threat, you're like, I told you, I don't have time for this. So you say that over and over again.
I said that 3 times. I know.
Yeah. I want to make a t-shirt that just has all of your sayings. So It'll say pepperoni, and then it'll say, "I don't have time for this," and just all the Paris sayings.
It's the Voyager.
It's the Voyager, exactly. So
Yeah, and then we go into sick bay, and the doctor's giving the baby a checkup, and he says, "This is not Chakotay's son."
oh, I know. What the
What?
What?
What? It's not Chakotay's son. Seska seems truly shocked and surprised. I have to say, I just don't believe that Seska didn't check the baby's DNA before this. Like, really?
Yeah, that was a little crazy.
And
And that baby doesn't. Okay, when we've seen the baby's face, right? And you
Yes.
see the little
Yes.
Cardassian little forehead ridge thing, but you clearly do not see any Kazon features.
Kazon
so-
features? No. And by the way, that baby's bald. And I'm telling you, Kazon have big hair.
Yeah.
Kazon's hair
It
is huge.
So, but if this is just so bizarre because she did inject herself with his DNA. So how, so the question remains, how did she get that wrong? How did she not, I don't know. It was perplexing.
Yeah. Also, why didn't Seska ask the computer long before about the crew complement like the doctor does at the end of that scene? He goes, he's just got it easy. Like, nobody thought of this when you were taking over the ship? Hey, computer, any life signs? Where are the like, it's a quick question.
Yes.
But they obviously didn't think about it.
No. They were too excited to commandeer the Voyager.
Yeah.
That they were like, yeah. Because they did make mention of the fact that there's 2 missing crewmen. And they could have at that point said, computer, tell us who's on the ship right now. And they would have found that out. It would have been one Beta Z, we would have known it was sooner. But that's another a hole in the script right there.
Yep.
Right? Unfortunately. Okay, Harry and B'Elanna find eggs.
Big eggs. Did you make an omelet? Did you do hard-boiled, poached? What does the captain like?
I think she likes medium. She likes the yolk a little bit runny. Yeah. So you have to really pay attention when you're preparing eggs and make it a medium. It's not easy,
that was very interesting. The eggs.
But look who's together. It's Harry and B'Elanna again, right?
Yeah.
Were you jealous a little bit?
I don't think so. I was busy saving the show, Garrett, while you were out making over easy or over mediums.
So many.
I was saving the whole series. I was saving Star Trek as a franchise. I was saving Voyager. I was saving the lives of all of our crew.
Well, thank you. Thanks for being
welcome.
a hero. You were busy being a hero. Ayala, you get to see him cutting hair. I cut Janeway's hair. I don't remember filming that. I have no recollection of that. Filming cutting.
By the way, I have seen that. They were